I hear what you're saying. You know, it is, I think it is in my introduction video of this podcast. It really comes down to it is a day in, day out thing.
Yes, yeah.
And one of my examples I used was hip hop artists. You know, the low or the high turnaround we have is because people don't get the millions of views in the couple months. So they, hey, you know, I'm done. So my question to you is, what inspires you to keep going? Like, why do you know, obviously it's a big journey, but you know, you haven't hit your peak success. Like, what keeps you moving forward?
Yeah, that's a good question because it does get discouraging a lot as an artist, especially, you know, this is coming up on my 7th year making music. So,
you're still young, man. You're already an OG. You're a veteran now.
Yeah.
You know?
So I turned 21 in 2 weeks. I've been making music since I was 14.
Wow.
So, you know, like, it's definitely been a ride, and there's been some ups and some downs, and you know, there were times when I was younger where I thought like maybe it was about to happen. Right. But, you know, my mindset is always, it won't happen unless I'm ready for it to happen.
That is true.
So I'm glad that back then things that I may have wanted to happen never did, because my first introduction to the world on a grand scale needs to be something brilliant. It needs to be something that is long lasting, and it needs to be something that makes an impact.
So do you think it has worked to your advantage that you started so young? Because, you know, obviously 14, a lot of people, they usually start hip-hop, they're, you know, 16, 17. Do you think there's an advantage, or how do you feel about that?
You know, it's funny. You would think it would feel like an advantage, you know, because I'm young, I'm 20, and I'm making music with guys that are almost, you know, 10 years older than me.
That's true.
And I'm competing on their level. Right. We're on the same playing field. So hopefully my goal is then when I'm their age, 10 years from now, I can be, you know, up there somewhere.
Yeah.
You know,
working with, you know, grooming the next draft class.
Exactly.
You know.
But to be honest with you, sometimes it does seem like a little bit of a detriment because I feel older than I am. That's because true. I've been doing this for so long, and sometimes it just like, I know a lot of people who didn't start rapping until they were 20.
Yeah, me as well, yes.
And I remember when I first started making music, and it was like a rush to write something that resonated with people. Yes. And I always wanted to write. I loved hip hop so much, and I was just so in love with it when I first started rapping. That fades eventually, and I think that's like that with anything, you know. Not to say that I don't still love it. I do, you know, more than anything in the world. But it's just it maybe doesn't get me excited as it used to. I'll say that. But you know, I still just try to keep in my mind, like, look, man, you have a basically a 7-year head start to what some people get. Yes. You know, there's some people who are starting where I am right now. I've already done, you know, X amount of shows and put out 2 albums and things like that. So I have my feet wet a little bit. So I think it's a good thing. But yeah, sometimes it can feel like a little bit of a drawback because I feel like I'm tired. Like oh man, like when's this gonna happen already? You know, it's been so long. Like let's just get a move on. But
it's funny because like right when I hear you saying that, you can really compare it to a relationship. You know, you've been in, it's a long-term relationship. Yes. You know, it's after all these years. You know, you gotta keep it. You gotta spice it up still. You know, because you've been you kind of been like this, and it's like, oh, how do I keep myself energized? And like even for me, for example, with like Stacks TV and stuff like that, you know, I'm probably about 7 years deep of this specific project. Yeah. And there's days it's like, well, should I just give up? Yeah. You know, I haven't got where I need to be, but then it's like I usually only need a couple hours. Yeah. I give my head a quick shake. I'm like, no. Yeah. I was meant to do this, and plus, we've already invested so much time into these. You know,
that's another thing. Give up. Yeah, that's another thing too. And like to go back to what you were saying about like sometimes wanting to give up, like it's definitely something that goes through my mind. I think every creative person or business minded person has those thoughts because it's tough. Like this kind of stuff is not easy, and to face adversity like that is not like an easy task. So sometimes it's going to break you down. Sometimes it's going to make you feel a little bit worn. Sometimes when I spend all my money at a studio session and all my friends are going out having a good time on the weekend, and I'm too broke to go with them. Right. Because I spent my money making music. It's hard sometimes.
That's the thing a lot of people don't understand is. There is the monetary investment to it, but there's also the time. Yeah. It takes a lot of time to not only create, you know, creating and writing, even just like, I know for you, like even look for beats. That takes some time.
Yeah, man.
Recording.
I need to get better at making beats because that's a huge struggle that I have is like...